Hello and welcome back to Podcasting as Praxis. I'm David and I'm joined today by James.
Hello, I'm back, I'm alive, I'm well.
Rob.
Hello.
And Alistair.
Hey, and I just want to say I enjoyed your hesitation at saying James's name first. Just unsure that they're back this week.
But, I mean, if I go away for 2 weeks, you've got to ask the question, do I really exist? David has problems with object permanence is what it is.
I do.
He's been struggling ever since the Soviet Union was taken away. He's just not sure what's real and what's not.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the only thing that I'm actually able to perceive permanently is my own sadness.
To be fair, I think if you're on Twitter long enough, your object permanence does essentially revert to 24 hours maximum. And that's what's good about it.
That's very true. Right, okay, so we have some news stuff to go through. Some dumb shit, some slightly more serious shit, and some dumb serious shit.
Some seriously dumb shit, I hope.
Yeah.
The three food groups of Britain.
Yeah. We will be ending on comment or commentariat, so yes. All right, so first up, a lovely article that was sent to me just before recording about a metallurgist who admitted faking steel test results for US Navy subs.
Oh, now that is
fantastic! Yes, well done, comrade. Order of a Red Star coming your way.
Was she a paid agent of the Kremlin, David?
Well, that remains to be seen, but she's pled guilty to fraud.
Just you wait till Carol Cadwalader gets to the bottom of this and it'll definitely be the result of Russia.
She's pled guilty to fraud after spending decades faking the results of strength tests for US submarines.
Decades?
From 1985 through to 2017.
Wow.
Thomas falsified the results of strength and toughness tests for at least 240 productions of steel, about half the steel the foundry produced for the Navy.
This is phenomenal. That is fantastic. And so embarrassing. They're going to fuck her from a great height just because how did America not catch that? How did they not catch that for that long? Damn.
Is this what they mean when they're talking about a long march through the institutions, just faking shit so imperial powers just fall over?
Yeah, no, just remember, anarchist comrades, part of the praxis of insurrection is just doing your job really shitly. So yeah, good job. Excellent.
So, I mean, does this mean that most US submarines don't have a crumple zone or anything? Can they just not?
No, I think with submarines, the thing you don't want them to do is to crumple. I mean, I might not be misunderstanding what a submarine is, but that is my understanding.
So apparently the US Navy said that there was no allegation that any submarine hulls had failed, but authorities had incurred increased costs and maintenance to ensure that they remain seaworthy.
Oh, of course.
And they obviously didn't disclose which submarines were affected.
Could you imagine that? The captain of, I assume it works like a normal boat, just telling the whole military crew, oh yeah, this thing is completely untested. So good luck, everybody.
I mean, it's very sort of natural for everything that we know about the armed forces that essentially all the stuff that's really quite critical, as in does this metal hull actually stand up to the immense pressures of traveling thousands of feet below the surface, is outsourced to one person in a shed somewhere.
So with this, that's not necessarily the test. The test was specifically to do with whether or not the steel would fail in a collision or in certain
so crumple zones. I was right in the first
scenarios. Place. You were right on crumple zones.
How was Rob right about this?
Yes,
yeah, I don't know.
It's Rob's turn with a lathe today, lads. Let's go. Prepare for things to get extremely weird.
So she is facing up to 10 years in prison and a $1 million fine when she's sentenced in February.
I love this. 10 years in prison and destitution is what that basically is. It's just the idea of $1 million fine is something that someone can actually pay. It's no, we're going to make you bankrupt and give you 10 years is what that actually is. They might as well not piss around putting a monetary value on it.
It's good to know, though, James, that the state is capable of levying crippling fines against things it really cares about.
Well, there's no kind of...
Sorry, can we just revisit Rob's cat noise?
No, we're not. We're going to skip right over that.
No, I'm sorry. Solidarity with cat weirdos here. Carry on, Rob.
skipping right over that. In the statement filed in the US District Court on her behalf, her attorney said that she took shortcuts. Miss Thomas never intended to compromise the integrity of any material and is gratified that the government's testing does not suggest that the structural integrity of any submarine was in fact compromised. This offence is unique in that it was neither motivated by greed nor any desire for personal enrichment. She regrets that she failed to follow her moral compass. Admitting to false statements is hardly how she envisioned living out her retirement years. In other words, she just got lazy and couldn't be arsed going through all the fucking bullshit.
And we have to stan her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Uncritical support to our submarine steel bay, definitely.
Yep. So the only reason this was discovered in 2017 was
that's
when
still cheaper than Salt Bay, by the way.
The only reason that this was discovered in 2017 was when the metallurgist being groomed to replace her noticed suspicious test results.
They're doing what to this new guy?
Wow.
Yeah. Why are we grooming metallurgists now? Why is this?
Like, I don't know. Can you imagine the fucking... Yeah, so this is a person who'll be training you and teaching you how to do it. And then they turn around and go, listen, mate, right? We can do it this way. Or you can have an easy life for the rest of your life. Which is it going to be? Well, actually, I think you'll find you're doing it wrong, and it's time to call the government.
Interesting intervention from Sir Keir Starmer right there.
Yeah, why is Keir Starmer had a stroke?
This is briefcase metallurgy.
Yeah, it's like I can't help it that when I like imitate an archetypal grass and company man, you immediately go to Keir Starmer.
I mean, if the boot fits.
But again, I just want to return to my original theme that, we don't know if any of the metal things don't actually work because it's never been tested. So what I propose is if most of the US submarine fleet is instead turned into, a big game of bumper cars, then we can figure out which one of them doesn't have the correct steel. And quite frankly, entertain all of us in the process.
Yes. Have an actual Rami with a submarine. Yeah. Fantastic. Love it.
Sounds perfect. So I just thought that was a nice little fun thing that cropped up before we started recording, and I just had to share it.
Oh, here's a question. When was Trident built, David? You'll know this as part of your steel training.
Jesus, I genuinely don't know how long that's been.
Have a flip through your.
Hang on, I'll check the handbook.
The handbook sounds suspiciously like Google.
What was the Trident submarines? I'm not sure they
1994.
were. Oh, hey, was any of the steel sourced from the United States? Because they offered significant help with our Trident program, if I recall
correctly. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go into an open search engine and I'm going to Google, what is the makeup of a Trident nuclear missile?
I mean, GCHQ are obviously listeners and subscribers to the podcast anyway, so it's not like they're getting anything new.
Yeah, fuck knows on that one. I'm sure they'll see.
You too, listener, can be cool like GCHQ and become a Patreon subscriber.
Yeah, and you can help determine the answer to this question by hijacking a Trident submarine and ramming it into another one and examining the crumple zone.
Yeah, that £5 a month, that's what all of the state secrets go behind, so... I mean, if anyone genuinely fucking reports us for, selling state secrets behind a £5 Patreon paywall, then I think,
No, I think it was more the exhortation to steal a Trident.
Yeah, but seriously,
something that anyone is going to have literally any opportunity whatsoever to do, unless for some reason they are on a fucking Trident submarine right now. In which case, good evening, comrade. How is it going?
I'm just going to go to Fastlane and knock in the window of the submarine and get on board. How hard can it be? You start them with a screwdriver, right?
Do you know, Rob? Right, actually, genuinely, you say that, but there was a case of someone who brought someone onto a Trident base and they just walked onto the Trident submarine, just walked right on, and I think it was a guy's girlfriend or something like that had been on the submarine, and it was this huge scandal when it came out. So
that's a weird chat up line. That's literally, darling, do you want to see my nuclear missile? And it turns out not to be a joke.
See, I have a theory. I have a theory on this one, right? I think the theory is that the two of them went on a submarine and fucked on top of a nuclear missile, and then the MOD covered up that particular part because it was just too far Like, they couldn't let the Daily Mail readers know that one. Because what possible reason do you have to take your girlfriend onto a Trident submarine when you really get down to it? Hey, do you want to stare at this?
This is the little known sequel to Doctor Strangelove, is where you're fucking on the missile instead.
Yeah, I think that is the chat-up line that the guy used. Clearly, it's got to have been, right?
Opening up the warhead compartment for mood lighting.
Yes!
Just like opening up the hatch, looking at the stars, fucking on top of the nuclear submarine.
I am going to move us on. Okay.
Yeah, less state secrets, more podcast material.
I am going to move us on. Rob, you have been looking at the wonderful world of education in the future.
The wonderful world of education. Well, I mean, as I'm sure all of you saw in what I think we can all call very sad news, is that Professor Kathleen Stock noted TERF was cancelled earlier, I think last week by now. And
cancelled by herself.
Can you play the Titanic music, please, David?
No, I don't.
Can you
have,
just play
you
Fall
can have
Out
this.
Close enough.
So obviously very sad news, and the reason we know that she was cancelled was obviously because she was on the BBC, she was in the Telegraph, she was in the Times, she was in the New Statesman, she was in a bunch of other places.
It's impossible to miss the fact that she had been cancelled. It was everywhere you would read.
Yeah. So I think, big sympathies from this podcast, obviously, to a massive TERF, by which I mean get bent and ha. But we should note, of course, that she cancelled herself. She was not fired. She quit. But she's landed on her feet. And the thing that I want to talk about is where she has landed. It's a brand new university, or it is not quite a university yet. It is the University of Austin, Texas. UATX is the new mission. New university where she's landed. There are a couple of issues with it in general. The first one is that
I was going to say, isn't like universities, like I saw this earlier, is university is not a protected term in the United States, like a la Trump University. So like you can kind of just call anything a university. Doesn't have to
exactly, and they do, because the University of Austin, Texas, is not actually an accredited institution.
Yeah, you got to give them time, right?
What if a university was even more vibes-based?
Exactly.
So, I mean, how is this going to work? Because isn't the market already fully saturated with PragerU?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a physical
waste of space, blight on humankind, a congregation of the worst fucking reactionaries on the planet.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, take your fucking pick.
A set of coordinates useful to future time travellers.
I mean, like the fucking the list of the like cretins that they've roped into this shit. It truly are some of just the most obnoxious fucking posters known to man. The fucking Steven Pinker was one of them.
Yeah,
Glenn Greenwald.
I've got a good list for you here. This is from Barry Weiss, who, if you remember, is the ex-New York Times journalist who also cancelled herself into many other news appearances.
She was trying so fucking hard to get sacked from the New York Times and then just, like, quit. And
yeah.
Oh, the grift doesn't fucking stop, does it?
Yeah, but this is from her blog. Our project began with a small gathering of those concerned about the state of higher education. Among those are Niall Ferguson, Barry Weiss, Arthur Brooks... and we have since been joined by brave professors Kathleen Stock, Dorian Abbott, and Peter Boghossian, all just pricks. Robert Zimmer is there. Larry Summers is there, James. You'll enjoy that.
Oh, lovely. Fantastic.
Steven Pinker is there.
Love to hear it.
What if they put the university on a cloud ship?
Ayaan Hirsi Ali is involved, of course, because Niall Ferguson's involved. So this is essentially a collection of the worst, most reactionary dickheads essentially living today, who've all banded together to do a breakthrough in university education. So you might have some...
It's just people keep putting shit in my pants anonymous.
Yes.
So I'll give you a few... You must have questions about this, so I'll give you a few things from the Q&A session of their website.
Why?
That's a good question. Why is your acronym UATX? U is for university.
Oh fuck! Is that what that's for?
Oh,
that is some Dutch pronunciation right there.
Well, you can't say it's not an educational thing.
I'm learning a lot from the FAQs.
UATX is a private, not-for-profit institution. We are fiscally sponsored by Cicero Research.
We are fiscally conservative.
You would exactly, because I had a quick look at Cicero Research, because that's a very nice little organization. The Cicero Institute, which is where Cicero Research comes from, applies the innovative energy of America's leading technologists and entrepreneurs to broken systems in the public sector to advance liberty and opportunity for all Americans.
Yeah, okay. Right, sure. Tell us one we haven't heard, please.
It's a libertarian think tank.
Excellent.
Couldn't have guessed.
Well, it's good to know that they can finally do research into how to lower the age of consent.
To be fair, there is a guy that works there, their senior director of policy and research, who has the best name I've come across in fucking ages. He's a guy called Judge Glock.
That's pretty excellent. That's really good.
That's really fucking cool.
It's my professor, Aaron Kelvin 47.
Does he? If you ask his personal carry loadout, does he like whip out? I don't know, a fucking FN57 and go, "Surprise, motherfucker! I know what you were expecting."
Let me get back to the Q&A for a second. Nearly every university says it stands for freedom of inquiry. What's different about your university? We mean it.
I was literally going to say, was it going to be something like we actually, like, for real this time, with feeling?
Do it again with feeling.
Yeah, fucking...
So, I mean, as I said before, they're not an accredited institution yet, and it can take a very, very long time to get accreditation, but they feel confident that with the former president of Harvard University, Larry Summers, dick economist all around, that they can get it quickly. So, to the question, do you offer degrees? Answer, we do not confer degrees at the moment. So it's not...
I mean, ultimately, my question is, other than, like, so obviously, like, universities chiefly, it's research and, like, you know, education.
Not really. It's mainly property development.
Well, I mean, you know, like in theory, it's meant to be research and like education, and it doesn't do. Like, I can't imagine what fucking research they're going to be doing. Like, are trans people real? Our research says no.
Exactly. Well, I mean, what they will be offering as of summer next year is the first course load, of course, non-accredited, so it's more just like a summer hangout, I suppose, called The Forbidden Courses.
The Forbidden Zone.
It's just Harry Potter. It's just Harry Potter.
Anyway, our forbidden courses, which to me sounds like they're teaching like the Necronomicon.
Sorry, every time you say that, I am genuinely picturing like some bright-eyed student is opening the syllabus, right? And we're looking down the possible course choices, and it's like, economics 101. Insights into anthropology 102, and like going down, and there's just a bit at the bottom that's just kind of blacked out.
Yeah.
It's like someone's taking a fucking sensor to it and making a look up and go, what used to be here? Are those withdrawn courses?
This shit looks like a fucking FOIA request. What's going on?
These are the forbidden courses. So I can't take them then. Oh no, you totally can take them. But, well, hang on.
For the low price of $3,000 a semester.
Your instructor, Abdul Al-Hazra, the Mad Arab, will be teaching you from his novel, The Necronomicon.
Just satanic piping coming through the tinny speaker system as you're sitting in the overrun lecture hall. Yeah, love it. Okay, for real, Rob.
Very generous of you there, James, to suggest that lecture theatres are going to be overrun.
No, to be fair, it's probably going to be all remote,
week
right?
So
same
difference.
Be
playing Black Sabbath albums backwards and seeing if you can decode the messages.
I mean, it's funny because that could actually be a component of this. Right, go on, Rob. Why are they actually forbidden?
What do you think in the context of the people who have been assigned and who have put their names to this stupid fucking thing? What do you think the forbidden courses will be?
Tough shit.
Is there going to be a heavy component of you can't even say English anymore, but for America?
Join us for a spirited discussion about the most provocative questions that often lead to censorship or self-censorship in many universities.
Self-censorship.
So it's going to be a bunch of people sitting around going, but the thing about IQ is it is racial.
Yeah.
It's just going to be that shit.
I mean, it's definitely like mandatory calipers. Like you have to bring your own. That's
Yeah, no, sure. You could buy the no. They'll make a whole thing out of it. It's like textbooks, right? Textbooks are marked up. They're going to mark up their calipers clearly for the students.
So yeah, it looks really like I'm looking forward to having more cancelled people like Steven Pinker and Larry Summers and Kathleen Stock teaching things at an institution funded by a bunch of libertarian weirdos and led by the way.
The thing about the Kathleen Stock though is she's not even going to, like, people were saying, like, asked her, are you going to be, does this mean you're going to move into the United States? She's like, well, no. Okay, like, so what then? Is like, it feels like this university is entirely fictitious.
Just you wait until they release their first long YouTube video.
So the funding, as I said, comes through the Cicero Institute, and it also comes through a guy called Joe Lonsdale, who I'm sure you haven't heard of yet, but he is a founder of Palantir.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, yes, love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Yes.
Was it Palantir, the one where the CEO said a chemistry happens? I always mix up my fucking.
I mean, they're the people that like promise like the panopticon essentially, and nobody's quite sure whether or not it actually works and does what it says on the tin. Not that it should, because I hope it doesn't, but you know.
They took a long, hard look at like the scary evil part of Lord of the Rings and said, we can do that better. And that's their company. So yeah, no, fantastic. Love it. Love to have like state surveillance involved in this shit. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's funded by libertarian state surveillance, and it includes, well, Kathleen Stock, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Steven Pinker, Jonathan Haidt. Fuck me, this is a
name.
Yeah, I mean, absolute. I mean, it's just a collection of like
Barry Evil, Jeffrey like war crimes, Davey racism. They're all there.
So yeah, it's going to be a good time for all. I mean, to be fair, this is all just a bunch of horseshit because like they don't have any land. They want to build a campus, but they don't have the money yet. So for now, they're just literally a guy in a house doing posts, and that's of course all that this thing's ever going to be. It's just going to be. Is this the
result of all the help leaving? They're like, oh, I've got all this space. I've got to use something.
You're going to be hearing about this for a while because, I mean, as we
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw with the sacking of Kathleen Stock, you know, this is just more food on the mill of, you know, the most comfortable people in the upper reaches of society, but they feel that they're under threat because somebody called them a dick once on Twitter. Like, it's going to be insufferable, essentially.
Like, it's going to be that, and it's also just going to be them. They're recognizing they need to police their status hierarchies. Like, it really is that simple. It's a fundamental class ruling interest is to keep people divided. Therefore, you've got to feed them this kind of horse shit. So they've got to set up means to feed us this kind of horse shit, and around it goes.
Yeah. I mean, just another one of these things where we will never be fucking rid of these people. Like, we will never be rid of them. And it's just so annoying. Because, like, you know, we've decided that, you know, J.K. Rowling somehow matters in the gender discussion, and, you know, somebody still needs to hear from Steven Pinker, even after he was, you know, photographed many times with certain people who obviously killed themselves, and obviously not something else. You know, it's just the people who've proclaimed themselves to be cancelled. I can't fucking stand it. It was such an insufferable week this week with, oh, look at how my freedom of expression.
The worst people on earth who are so used to having an unfettered like voice in social circles and like, well, they're elite social circles, but yet, let's be absolutely clear. Having that infringed upon whatsoever by people going, hey dude, that's kind of fucked up, don't you think? Yeah. So, oh well, are you trying to cancel me, trying to silence me?
It's basically I'm not being respected. That's what it is. That's what being cancelled is for them. It's being disrespected.
I mean, it's you know, it's the same thing that we saw with what's his face, the dickhead MP. You know,
narrow it down.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
what was it, 2 weeks ago when I was like, we have to ban online anonymity because of my mentions. Because
Mark Francois.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
So, I mean, it's just more of the same thing, you know. It's like we're going to found a university where our beliefs will be challenged, except, of course, they won't be challenged. They'll just sit in their own little echo pod, except, you know, unlike our echo pod, which has like...
Listen. Be fair, they need a safe space too.
Exactly. And, quite frankly, whomst among us would not want to be locked up in a safe space with Steven Pinker?
Right. Let's move on to the main topic, which is dipshit MPs.
Yeah.
As ever.
Paid for.
We return to the well once more of dipshit MPs being mad and upset about the stupidest fucking shit imaginable.
That's right.
Could you, aren't they all more or less dipshits, David?
They are, and this is part of the issue. So, last week, after a series of ongoing self-inflicted and wider political fuck-ups, Owen Paterson, the Conservative MP, resigned.
I was going to say former Conservative MP at this point. So
Yes. Well, last week he wasn't MP, so I'm technically right. And that's the best kind of right.
The most irritating kind is indeed the best kind.
Mm-hmm. So, he was found to have properly approached the Food Standards Agency and the Department for International Development multiple times. The way that you improperly approach one of these things as an MP is to have an interest.
Is to not approach them from the front, but from behind, because then they can spook very easily. So you need to approach the Food Standards Agency looking them straight in the eyes and not make any sudden gestures.
Why am I not surprised that Rob, of all people, is very familiar with how to approach the Food Standards Agency so as not to spook them? What are you getting up to in that kitchen, Rob? What are you getting up to?
So he, like I say, multiple occasions approached both of these with you should do this type of things, which when you're being paid money by interest in those sectors is not good. So he was paid £8,333 a month for 16 hours of time each of those months by Randox, which is COVID testing mob.
The 4 hour. We need to normalise the 4 hour work week.
So he did 4 hour. Was that 4 hours a week? Did you say?
Yeah.
16 a month. Yeah.
For which he got just under $100,000 a year.
£520 an hour.
Fuck me.
Imagine how many bees he'd be able to clean up.
Like I said this earlier, I'm in the wrong gig.
Aren't we all? So Randox is the COVID testing mob that were awarded a contract for £133 million, and then 6 months later awarded another one for £347 million.
Oh, cool half bill.
Cool.
Yeah.
That seems like a good return on their investment there.
At least in one of those instances, but I think in both, I don't have it in the notes, but it was definitely in at least one of them. No one else was allowed to bid for the contract.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, you did.
Right, come on.
Yep. He was also paid £12,000 for 24 hours of time across a full year by Lynn's Country Foods Limited. That is a Northern Ireland-based producer of which foodstuff?
Is it the same company that made that wonderful photo of which one was the DUP MP again with the handful of sausages? Is it the same company? Because that I would be so happy.
They do indeed make sausages.
Yes!
And you remember all the you remember all the bullshit we had about fucking Brexit and sausages a few months back?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Things are becoming clearer, aren't they?
Rob, you very much have the laugh this time. Put it down, please.
So, he's been recommended off the back of all this. He was referred off to the Parliamentary Standards Committee, and a suspension for 30 days was recommended by the Common Select Committee on Standards, which is to be voted on.
I was going to say, which is like as far as the fucking Commons, like this Select Committee goes. That's like the biggest sort of punishment that they ever sort of hand out is like a suspension for this long.
Well, pretty much because the suspension of that length actually means that it triggers a recall petition in the constituency. So there's a chance that he could lose his entire position off the back of that. A chance.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say fat chance, like especially how safe his seat is.
The other thing is, I believe it suspends his pay for that period, if I'm correct, right?
Almost certainly.
Which if you do,
not the fucking consultancy fees though.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, realistically, if that doesn't result in him being recalled him in a new election, which is probably not going to in those circumstances, then he's just traded $7,000 for $100,000.
I mean, that's what we like to call business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right.
The response to this by the government initially, was to put out an amendment on the vote, which would have set up a new committee headed up by Geoffrey Cox.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
him. Well, he's a good.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a good and
Yeah, he's
guy.
back. He's back from.
He's back from the British Virgin Islands, if I'm not.
Yeah, that's right.
Mistaken.
That's right. He's back in Lord form, and the
Nice.
This isn't even his final form either. Anyway,
yeah, he was to head up a new committee, which would basically decide how you should actually discipline MPs. So they were going to basically rewrite all the disciplinary rules off the back of this, and also put a cap on not even a cap, just put a pause on the suspension. And then Owen Paterson would have been dealt with through the new committee, which would have been set up by Geoffrey Cox in the lead, 4 Tory MPs, 3 Labour and 1 SNP.
so basically they brought in a Lord to cox it up. Sounds about right.
Yes, that's right, correct. The vote passed 248 votes to 221.
Yeah, and those 248 votes for the number of them that are done with a heavy heart. It's just it breaks your heart, doesn't it? When you think about it.
It was because they thought that the vote would make Owen Paterson sad, because apparently being put on even the mildest of inquiries about could you maybe do less overt corruption apparently killed his wife.
Oh fucking yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
that's definitely an element of this. That's been brought up fucking numerous times by him. The thing here is though, 248 versus 221. There's still a significant amount of MPs who just didn't bother voting on that.
Yeah, so I know quite a bit about this actually.
Oh,
right.
do go on.
A significant chunk were Labour MPs. The overwhelming chunk were Tory MPs. Right now, here's the thing. Right. Some of the Labour MPs were out with COVID. They had to isolate, okay? But some of them weren't. Some of them were out because of pairing. And I think everyone who listens probably knows what pairing is, but just in case there's anyone who doesn't. Pairing is this archaic system where there's an agreement between the two major parties that if one of their MPs can't make an occasion, then they pair off another MP from the opposing party and just go, right, this is arranged in advance that they can't make this vote, so we'll drop one of our own out so that it's balanced, and we'll return the favour in exchange, basically, so that we don't ever have a situation where we're having to drag people, like, literally off their deathbeds, which has happened in the past. Problem is, 2 problems. Problem number 1, the Tories have broken the pairing arrangement before during the Brexit thing. So that if you are at all...
Sorry, no, not during the Brexit thing, during the Corbyn era.
Well, yes, that, right, which is part of this, and we'll get to that in a minute, David, okay? But they also did it during it happened during the Brexit thing, where they just straight up ignored pairing. They straight up ignored pairing and got an advantage out of it. So if you are at all capable politically, then you should recognise, pairing is dead. Right? If you can't, that's it. You can't put the genie back in the bottle on that one. It's over. And that means that you go back to the approach that everyone has to be in the chamber pretty much at all times for every vote, which is kind of what you would expect, actually. And that, like I said, that's a major component of it. The second component is, as you mentioned, David, they broke it during the Corbyn era because what it is a reflection of is a reflection of shared class interest, right? Where they basically recognise that the votes are going to go the way they want, and it's a strong indicator that it's all orchestrated among class interests by the MPs themselves to fit their issues.
Oh
and
no, James, are you telling me that these people aren't to be relied on to look out for the best interests of most people in this country?
Yeah, because strangely enough, our representatives aren't representative of your average person in the country.
No.
Funny that, right? But there's a larger point, right? So this actually came up on Twitter, and the usual tedious people were coming up going, looks like someone doesn't know about pairing." To which the answer is,
I am going to get some of the Twitter bullshit off the back of this. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it's like the answer to this is, here's the thing: pairing shouldn't exist. And while pairing continues to exist, it cuts against what needs to happen, which is wholesale reform, so that MPs don't need to physically be in a fucking lobby in order to cast their vote.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we need to remember how fucking archaic, just the entire parliamentary process of
the
whole thing is...
And it doesn't have to be this way. There's nothing that says it has to be this way. In this day and age, we can actually trust electronic voting from MPs, etc., and then just have a mechanism in place where if an MP notices an electronic vote doesn't reflect how they actually voted, then they get to call it out and go, hang on, I didn't vote that way, and that triggers an investigation. Boom, done. Public scrutiny. They're not private votes. That's the thing. They're not private votes. They don't vote in secret. There's no need to worry about electronic. Electronic voting is only a problem if it's a private vote. We need our MPs to vote publicly. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it's not an issue. but they don't want to do that because...
Can we turn the
reasons?
votes, then put them on the blockchain and then sell them as NFTs? Because I would pay a lot for my private Jeffrey Cox.
I'm afraid that
vote
the
then.
NFT market at the moment is actually too busy putting tits on monkeys, so they're not really into that at the moment.
Alistair, could you hand me the spray bottle, please?
Anyway, they obviously they got that vote. Jeffrey Cox was to set up a new committee which would look at this. Then became incredibly apparent very fucking quickly that there was no cross-party support for this, which Jeffrey Cox had been told there was.
And let's basically be clear. It's basically the Tories saying, "Oh yeah, we're just going to like completely rig it in our favour." And turns out this is actually a bad look. This is apparently where the line is drawn in terms of like media reaction. That's for sure.
For now, it's complicated. So like we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. The government said, "Fuck it," and pulled the idea after having this vote. And they're now going to have another vote on... Well, they were going to have another vote on suspending Patterson. And he found this out in a supermarket.
Yeah, they rang him while he was in
Waitrose.
Waitrose. It was fucking amazing.
The media rang him while he was in Waitrose,
Yes.
which is the best part.
Yes. It's nice to see it happening to the right as well. Like, who was it, Nadia Whittam that got sacked on fucking Newsnight or some shit?
Yeah, something shit like that. Yeah, for sure.
That's where we are. So Owen Patterson has decided he's going to fuck off, and he's going to continue on in public life, but not in like the snake pit of Westminster or whatever bullshit he said.
It's just a snake pit of fucking private consultancy.
So far, so good. That all seems fairly
Weirdly
normal.
enough, almost like the political system is working as it's supposed to. Almost,
Yes.
almost. You know?
Big asterisk next to
I
it,
know,
but yeah,
I know,
the outcome's good, but the causes are bad? Question mark?
I thought we'd have a look at, rather than all the bullshit the government's fucking doing, flapping around it, I thought what we would do is have a look at what everyone else makes of it and see what we can glean from that. So,
Well, before we do that, David, can I just state what I think of it? Because there's one little thing that passes through this, which I get very annoyed about, which is we've got a good outcome in that he's no longer an MP, but we actually have a bad outcome if you take a step back. He should be in prison.
Yes.
It's corruption. He
Yes.
should be in prison. We should imprison people for doing this.
Oh, but James, you're not meant to use the word corruption, just like you're not meant to use the word liar, because that confuses and startles voters.
Yeah, well, no. He's a corrupt piece of shit. Sorry. Like that. I will go to court over that one if I have to.
I mean, the point of this whole fucking ordeal is that the whole system for dealing, like, I mean, this select committee shit, like, that is clearly not fucking enough, because if you're like caught red fucking handed taking hundreds of thousands of pounds a year in order to lobby in favour of private interests,
Let's be clear. Being bribed, carry on.
like, and the worst outcome is you might get a recall petition and have to stand in a by-election, because that prior to all of the fallout, that was what was going to happen at worst.
Yeah.
Not immediate dismissal as an MP, not criminal charges brought against, none of that. All just like, oh no, it's basically fine, because this was but just because this specific instance of outright fucking corruption was slightly over the line of acceptability in terms of being paid out.
And the prescribed penalty was like a 30-day suspension. Like, he wasn't being hung and quartered from Tower Bridge or something. Like, he was just going to have to sit at home on full salary while presumably being paired, so his vote didn't matter anyway.
If he'd just shut up and taken it, right, then none of this would have happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's
still be an
the other
MP
big
in 30
thing.
days, probably. But no, they decided that their reach exceeded their grasp on this one, and that's fine. But let's be clear, I'm gonna, full disclosure, I'm an employee of an independent spy. So when I say Philip Proudfoot, I've got a conflict of interest here. But I saw Philip post this earlier today, and I was like, yes, 100%. Why is it only when MPs talk about, how there's this real struggle to make ends meet and the only way to guard against corruption is to raise their salary? Why do we never talk about the alternative, which is no, lock them up if they do it? Why does that?
We will get to this.
Okay.
I promise we will.
I'm
get
so
to this.
fucking sick of that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I thought we'd start off first, right, with the wider media And then we'll move on to what you can loosely term as the opposition to the government. So, wider media, the first dickhead is Sam Coates from Sky News.
Oh, let's fucking go, Sam. I'm ready for this shit.
Sam posted a little thread to ask some pertinent questions and,
questions
really,
on the
really
tip of everybody's tongue.
lay some truths out for everyone. How do you ban second jobs for MPs when being a minister is a second job on top of being an MP?
I love it. I love this fucking in order to legislate against something, you first must have an ontological discussion about what is a job, what is the nature of work, who are we as people entering into the process of parliamentary legislature.
I love to apply the Socratic method to everything.
Yeah, I didn't realise that Roz from World Pleasure Problem is on Sky News, but apparently he's editing for them.
So, any crackdown would be about what forms of extracurricular work were permitted.
None of them.
None of them.
Is anything?
None.
He asks, is anything funded by the government or state okay, or is it anything above a certain wage?
It's just
certain
not okay.
Industries, maybe.
Just do your fucking job. Like,
No,
how hard?
no, Rob. Give him a chance here.
No.
He says you're quickly into very tricky areas. Once you're arguing about definitions of professions and activities, the chances of reform actually happening diminish quickly. The danger is that you get into MPs trying to define what good outside jobs are and bad outside jobs are, but people's view of what is morally acceptable differs and shifts over time. This isn't a view on whether MPs should or shouldn't have second jobs or money from outside sources.
Is it not? Oh, thank you.
No, it's just that we've had this debate before, many times. These are the points that were raised, and I'm trying to explain why reform doesn't happen in the way some want.
So, right there is Chomsky's manufacturing consent. Because know what they say? They exclude a conversation saying, we can't have that conversation, but we can have this conversation, and then they scatter a chaff grenade and go, and it's very complicated, which is why we can't do anything.
Yep.
That right there, that is a perfect
That's exactly how he closes it out. Just to point out, simple sounding solutions aren't necessarily simple and risk running into the ground if these points and lots of others aren't properly considered.
I've got a fucking sword for this Gordian bullshit knot. And it is, you ban all of the anything that could be, anything that isn't literally something that is done in Parliament, literally a job that is funded by Parliament and central government, you ban it, and then if there's anything that looks like it should probably be included, you work backwards from there.
Just went to the centrist rally, everybody holding hands saying better things aren't possible.
Yeah, like me and Alistair are both signing up for that Austin University course, right? And we're going back to tradition, and we're studying Alexander the Great on this one, because the solution is just take out your fucking sword and cut it in twain and go, no, we're not going to tinker trying to figure this shit out. We're just going to go, no, you don't get a second job as an MP. You've got more than enough to live on.
That is the centrist realism take of Sam Coates there.
That's the worst thing you've said this week.
Isn't it just?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love that art style. Centrist realism.
Yeah, you
Fantastic.
hate it because it's fucking accurate.
Yes.
So, Tom Chivers of Unheard, that dickhead, he proposes triple MP's pay, but ban them from taking any outside income.
Triple?
Does that work? Yes. It feels too obvious, like someone would have done it already if it would work. But would it work?
Triple? Sorry, they are on 82k a year plus a massive
£82,000
expense
account? Which puts them at least, and just the 82,000 a year alone, puts them at least in the top 2% of earners.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out on this one. I don't think that's intrinsically a bad idea if the ban doesn't extend to just while they're currently an MP. Because one of the problems you have is you get people finish a position and then slide into working for the opposition team. See also the MOD and the procurement process, right? So if you let's be real serious.
Yeah, no sliding dick first into the fucking
exactly
wallet of some arms manufacturer or some shit.
So if you're serious about banning outside work, then you have to ask the question: well, how do we stop them getting paid after the fact? Because then suddenly it's not bribery. See also Tony Blair doing his speaking tours with Goldman Sachs and all the rest of them after he finished as Prime Minister. So I'm actually on board with this idea that if you become an MP, then your essentials are taken care of for the rest of your life, but you're not allowed to do other work other than a very prescribed list of public service rules.
Alternatively,
Yes,
why don't we bring all the MPs to that same farm where my pets went when I was a kid? You know, the one that's really nice, but I can't go visit.
Yeah, that's it, and they can live there fully funded for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Yes. It actually is a rule that any MPs who leave government must consult the advisory committee on business appointments
Oh,
for
okay.
any jobs they want to take up in the 2 years after leaving their post, in which they
Oh,
are
wow,
banned
strong
from
stuff.
lobbying the government,
Is that
which I'm sure is perfectly enforceable.
is the guy in charge of that committee by any chance Owen Patterson?
I don't actually know who's in charge of that, and I don't care
It's
to find
Lord
out.
something or other, right?
But probably. So yeah, 82,000. They're already paid enough. Like, they are already paid enough. Even if you paid them that amount for the rest of their lives, etc., it's already way more than you fucking need. No one needs that much money.
I'll be honest. I'll give them a bump to 100k if we ban all shares, ban all like owning property, ban all second jobs, and really restrict them to publicly funded public service roles, poster employment as an MP. Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that, and then I'll give them.
Yeah, a role as an MP probably should involve some kind of actual like service element. Service usually comes with
self-service.
costs. You usually sacrifice something
No, it's
to do a
self-service.
service.
No, it's like when you put everything through the till at Tesco's as like an onion. You know, that's how it should work.
Yes, that's what we have now. Yes.
We have our MPs getting PlayStation 5s for the cost of an onion. That pretty much sums up a lot of British politics, honestly.
The BBC. Moving on to the BBC now. They actually.
What's Laura got to say for us?
Well, I don't know. I didn't actually look at Laura. I didn't bother with that. What I did though was find a handy BBC News explainer.
Oh
my God.
Okay, good.
Oh, I love
Explain it
this.
to me.
Let's go. We're all very thick, so we need these explainers.
Yes.
Let's go.
Well, it's titled "Which MPs Have Second Jobs and How Much Do They Earn?" I thought, wow, this will have lots of information in it. It does not. The second jobs of MPs are under scrutiny after former Minister Owen Jones. The second jobs of MPs are under scrutiny after former Minister Owen Patterson was found to have broken lobbying rules. Good. Off to a good start. This is definitely explaining things. Geoffrey Cox, who we mentioned earlier, earned about £900,000 last year through his work as a lawyer.
Cool.
I'm sure he was doing human rights lawyer shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yeah. So, it asks, are MPs allowed second jobs? Yes, as long as they are not a minister. That's the rule. Although, minister, according to Sam Coates, is a second job, so I don't know how that works.
How does this explainer define a second job? Does it define like purely like exchanging your, and I'm using scare quotes around this, labour for pay, or are they also including book deals? Landlords, etc.
Yeah.
The rules, again, according to the BBC here, MPs must publicly declare any additional income, along with gifts, donations, and shareholdings over 15%.
And if they don't, they get sent to prison, right?
They are referred to the Standards Committee, and then this happens.
This being they're sent to prison, right?
No, unfortunately not.
Emphatically no.
All MPs are strictly forbidden, in quotes there, from getting paid in return for advocating a particular matter in Parliament. So strictly forbidden, again, will lead to some kind of vote on you getting a paid holiday.
It's that fucking meme of that lady winking, isn't it? Just when it says strictly forbidden.
Yeah. However, the BBC does go on to say, having MPs with second professions has previously been seen as a good thing.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
Okay,
In 1995, the Standards Committee said that not having them would not serve the best interests of democracy.
Oh, is this because they all have second jobs as
running orphanages?
Running orphanages and petting cats.
Rescuing cats out of trees, scooping ice cream that's been spilt on the floor.
No, by 1995, I'd assume it's some kind of like insolvency programme for helicopter companies or something. It argued that Parliament needed a wide range of current experience which can contribute to its expertise.
these fucking cunts have not had expertise in anything that matters in like their entire lives. I mean, there's a vanishingly small number of MPs who have what I would consider like an actual fucking job. You know, one where you actually, like, there's a risk of you getting fired if you don't turn up at, like, whatever time in the fucking morning.
Yeah. Well, I had a look. There is a list here. It details which MPs have worked as consultants in the last year.
But let's be very clear, that's not the same as using your influence in Parliament for particular outcomes. That's just giving good advice. Because you're wise, and all MPs are wise. They are like sages. They sit on top of mountains.
Have you ever seen an unwise MP? I think not.
All of this advice that they give out is purely based on things in their role as an expert in another field. Definitely not about their role in Parliament and how that affects things. Definitely not.
I do want to add briefly now. Just reminded myself that throughout this entire ordeal, Patterson was completely unrepentant the entire way through the process. Like, you know, he was saying like being suspended was like a miscarriage of justice, essentially, and like he would do it all again if he had the chance. Like, fucking no regret whatsoever up until the point that he had to like resign as an MP.
To be fair, I did actually meet Owen Patterson once, and he is an absolute dickhead.
Surprisingly down to earth and very funny.
So of these consultants, all these MP consultants, I looked through the list. I found 30 of them are Conservative. 1 is in the Labour Party, and 1 is in the Lib Dems.
Yeah, because the Labour give it away for free.
Bear in mind that ratio there. Also bear in mind that I did quickly skim this list, and I may have fucked up that count, but there's definitely those 3 parties involved in it. Some of the examples it gives, the top one is Andrew Mitchell, a Conservative MP who holds 6 consultancy jobs. 6? Which supporting investment banks and accountancy firms. And he has registered more than £180,000 for 34 and a half days' work.
Oh my God.
Me.
Yes. We have...
consultants are back on top again. Carry on.
Sir Ed Davey of the Lib Dems, leader of the Lib Dems, works as a consultant for 2 firms alongside his job as the leader of the Lib Dems.
Look, David, you can't go in on Ed Davey because he needs that money for his poorly child.
That's exactly what he says. He says his extra £78,000 income goes towards supporting his disabled son. I don't know about you guys, but if I was an MP, I would probably simply not vote against cuts to welfare if I knew that people were in that kind of position.
Yeah, I mean, just get absolutely fucked with this shit. Like, it just pisses me off so much. It's like...
It's David Cameron shit all over again.
Well, and it's also like, Owen Patterson's is like, the reason I had to take all these extra jobs is because my wife died. And she's like, get the fuck out. I have so little sympathy for this shit. Like, you know, it clearly wasn't hard for this government or the Cameron government to like squeeze people's fucking welfare checks and say, if you have an extra bedroom, you have to move, and fuck you, and we're gonna, you know, make you move from the home where you live and the environment that you know and where your family is to like miles and miles away. Like, that's not hard, you know, like that fucking Sam Coates thing. Apparently that's not hard. That's something we could do on the daily. But, you know, just regulating the basics of this shit. Oh no, we are just ooh-woo small bean MPs and we cannot possibly be expected to fucking take care of this. It irritates me so much. Just
Yep. A couple other examples here. We have Steve Brine, another Conservative, has joined 3 firms after being health minister, including Sigma Pharmaceuticals. £60,000, 288 hours work.
This is a donkey sanctuary, I think, if I have it right, yeah?
Ian Duncan Smith advises to
Here we go.
health companies for £45,000. I wonder what focus the health companies he advises has. Daniel Kaczynski.
Have you tried killing all the poor?
Yeah.
Grinding their bones into dust.
Just ran the calculation.
Daniel Kaczynski provides general advice to an American mining firm earning £36,000 a year.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Very, very, very normal. Sir Bob Neill, who's chair of the House of Commons Justice Committee, has been receiving almost £20,000 for 2 consultancy roles, including a law firm. One of the roles ended earlier this year, though. They're
A
keen to point
justice
out
minister, fantastic. That's really
And
yes.
do we want to talk about a certain Labour MP who wanted to get a second job?
Oh, I think we shall. We'll start off with him, shall we? Yeah. So, the opposition. Keir Starmer was asked by Sam Coates as well about taking a job or being offered a job. And it was asked, like, you were in talks with a company to take on a consultancy position. And Keir Starmer's response to this was, I wasn't in talks. I was in discussion with them and nothing happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not the same.
Yes. Completely different
He's so
things.
shit.
He's so fucking
Interesting.
beyond
He's so
shit.
shit. He's so bad.
As I said, he's the Peter O'Hanrahan of politics.
I mean, clearly he's trying to do the slick thing of not answering the question, but answering the question, and obviously falling completely flat on his stupid face.
Completely
But,
fucking useless.
I did like the thing that I saw just before we started recording about how I'm seeing one Jeremy Corbyn had to block Keir Starmer from accepting a highly paid second job.
Why would Jeremy Corbyn do this?
Yeah.
Because it was apparently at the height of the Brexit crisis several years ago for a certain law firm, and I wonder why he's so cagey with his answer.
Interesting.
A mystery for the ages we will never recover from.
And I wonder if this is feeding in at all to the fact that the opposition has almost entirely failed to capitalise on what is essentially a media constructed clusterfuck for the government, because the Labour, the polling is pretty much Labour have just not moved anywhere, and the Greens are up 5 points in one poll I saw. That was pretty funny, but Labour absolutely stationary.
Exactly. Peak immediately, and you can never be asked to go higher. Other issues here, though, with the opposition in general. Obviously, we spoke about Ed Davey, and we spoke about Keir Starmer. Some of your oppositional media, left-wing, big fucking quote brackets, outriders have taken some issues with how this is being perceived.
Oh, is it?
Ash Sarkar was keen to point out 3 Labour MPs have registered second jobs, compared to 90 Conservative ones.
Oh, okay then.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Only some of them do it.
Again,
only some of them.
Not accounting for any landlords, David. I don't think in that number.
Well, yes. That's the thing. Only those 3 Labour MPs, which also Owen Jones was very keen to point out. That's nothing. That's not a big deal at all. This is a Tory scandal. Nothing to do with Labour. 3 Labour MPs have second jobs. 18 of them are open about being landlords.
Now that's a key phrase.
Isn't it just? Yes, and I'm going to leave that hanging there. But funnily enough, the difficult job of being a landlord doesn't seem to be a job at this point.
Is it not? I thought that took days, because you had to be over at your tenant's place all the time, repairing things and taking care of things.
Changing light bulbs for them and all that shit.
Hoovering up bees.
It's really weird how at this one instance no one talks about landlord being a job, when in every other fucking possible opportunity it most certainly is a job.
Well, I mean, we agree with him, David. Being a landlord isn't a job, right?
Well, yes. However, the problem isn't that they have second jobs as such. It's not the fact that they're doing work, which obviously being a landlord doesn't involve. It's to do with the fact that they have another stream of income, which has an influence on how they operate as individuals with powers to vote in the Houses of Parliament.
Well, here's the thing, David, right? This entire shit is basically pay no attention to the material interest behind the curtain. That's what this is, right? I mean, the entire system is basically an old boys club where they're basically like, yes, of course, it's all material interest. The important thing is not to let people know it's material interests.
Yes.
That's how they've set it up.
Hello, Tony Ben. I didn't realise you were joining us this evening.
I mean, frankly, it might as well have been, right? To be totally honest. Because, I mean, that's what the complicity of the system basically is. It's going, the material interests don't matter, and they only matter when you're caught. and thus you've got to be sanctioned for being caught, not for doing the thing.
Mhm.
That's why it's only a 30-day suspension. It's because they're all like, yeah, well, everyone's up to their, ears in this kind of shit. It's all material interests all the way down. The important thing is to make it look like we take it seriously, that is, this is a bad thing. When in reality they all govern based on material interests. It's just not your material interests.
Which conversely is why it's actually good for Labour, specifically in this instance, Labour MPs to be backed by trade unions, because they're representing the interests of actual fucking people rather than corporations or a very, very, very fucking small subset of the population, which is landlords.
The thing about a fucking trade union is that there's democracy involved in that.
Yes, literally any democracy whatsoever.
That's the whole point of a union. Now, any other fucking functionary here does not have that. And every single one of these jobs, or not jobs in the case of landlords, are dictates of influence.
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting around that. And the other thing is, and Rob, I know you were going off your fucking nut about this, the sheer disparity in the amount of people with jobs on the Tory side versus the Labour side is because no one would hire a dipshit Labour MP.
Right now would you pay for a Labour MP? What are you getting out of that? They have no power. They haven't had any power for 10 years.
Yeah,
I guarantee
there's no return on investment.
Yeah.
Well, why would you pay Neil Coyle when he's giving it away for free?
Also that, they're also cheaper. But it's why would you pay a Labour MP? They can't get you anything. I absolutely guarantee that the moment by some, divine intervention or whatever it would take for Keithy Starms to get in, a year later, I guarantee you that 10, 20%, 25%, however much it is of the Labour Party will be on the take as well, because there'd be money on the table. That's the answer here.
Famously, through the Blair years, no Labour MPs had second jobs.
No, absolutely not.
I can't think of any pay-related scandals that happened under New Labour.
Yeah, so let's walk through the most lib-brain take, just in case there's a lib who's got lost and ended up listening to us, right?
Well done for making it this far.
Yeah. Lib-brain take on this is, hey, maybe you should ban the MP jobs where they've got those jobs because they're an MP, right? Because that implies they're not being given it because they're worth the job, they're being given it because of the status position they hold.
Yeah.
And that's what's actually being got with the job. So let's start from that point.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to determine which jobs they would have got had they not been an MP. It's very difficult to test counterfactuals.
Listen,
I agree.
Angela Smith just fucking loves water. She just loves the idea of water.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Does not love water,
Can't get enough of it.
But yeah, so yes, I agree. It's very hard to tell what jobs we would have got. Therefore, they can't.
Hold on, I've got one. Maybe Angela Smith is Fremen. Maybe that's what it's all about.
You're dying to talk about the worm, aren't you?
Yeah, I really am. I love the worm. Sorry, carry on, James.
I mean, there's not really much else to say. I could go into a whole Dune diversion about the lib approach to politics versus the jihad approach to politics.
No, sorry. Listen, I read the Paul Mason is Dune fascist article, and I recommend that no one else does that. There's a reason we are not talking about that article on the podcast.
Yeah, when I linked that to David the other day, he was very excited when he saw the headline, and then
increasingly angry with you as he read through it. I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is all it comes down to, is the fact they shouldn't fucking have other jobs. Their job is if your job is to essentially lead and stand for and govern and rule for everyone, then any other job you've got is a conflict of interest inherently, because it's at minimum, right, is distracting you away from what should be your central concern in life.
Yeah.
When you really get down to it. You could talk about the economics of it after the fact, but at root, do you want the people who are responsible for deciding your future, the people who are responsible for wielding power over you, the people who are responsible for you, do you want them to be focused 100% on that responsibility? Or do you want them to be focused on that and also moonlighting, doing consultancy,
hanging
also
moonlighting,
working? Especially because it's very, very difficult for a room of less than 700 people to be responsible for 70 million? It's just the sheer amount of attention it should require to do the job right should automatically rule out having other shit to do. I'll be totally honest. I really do think that if we're going to go with a representative democracy system, and if we're going to have sub 700 MPs who are responsible for 70 million people, I do think that all of their basic shit should be taken care of so they can devote their time fully to that.
Yes.
I don't think it should result in them getting, extra property or other shit, but at bare minimum, they should be fed, clothed, housed. They shouldn't be wasting their time doing laundry and all the rest of it. There should be an infrastructure in place to let them do the work.
Yeah, maybe the House of Commons could get a soft play area.
I mean, well, this is the thing. I think essentially, if you're going down this route, then you have to enable people to do the work to the best of their ability and as fully as possible. But that's not what this is about for them, really. It's not about actually doing a good job. It's about actually enriching themselves and gaining themselves real power, not representative power.
Yeah.
And that's the grand tragedy of this. It's our MPs don't actually rule. And this shows it. This absolutely shows it. Our MPs aren't the ones in charge. Other material interests are in charge, and the MP's job is to sell them to us.
Yes, they are merely functionaries of a wider system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, shall we take a moment and move on to commentariat, or do?
Go on, David. I've been away for 2 weeks. Last week I had food poisoning.
It's a Rob special, so get ready for that food poisoning to return.
Oh, excellent! I've been practicing last week.
Brain poisoning.
All right, let's start with a little climate action.
Oh, good.
All week, everyone's been urging world leaders to get busy at the forthcoming Glasgow Climate Summit. Action this day is the rallying cry. Basically, they don't want the politicians to sit there talking. So what do they want instead? For them to sing, make origami animals? The problem is when politicians stop talking and do something, it's usually a disaster. Iraq War, anyone?
Fucking unreal.
Comment.
I'm going commentariat. That feels stupid enough.
Yeah, that feels stupid enough to be commentary in my book, actually. Definitely.
Well, I mean, it's on the border. It is commentariat. It's Jeremy Clarkson in The Sun.
Yeah, there we go. That felt professionally
by
stupid.
Any other.
Round 2. Dutch people, they thought that the Nazis had been booted back across the Rhine. But no, they signed up for some more in Paris in 1951, the silly buggers. And now the totalitarian Berlin regime runs the show and force-marched them down to the Amsterdam brothels where no app, no bonk.
This is fucking
comment.
Comment. Yeah, I'm going to comment on this.
Yeah,
one.
this is comment, and I understood it perfectly, and it has to be comment.
It is
surely.
comment, and it's also from Conservative Woman.
Oh, that is a special kind of sickened mind. A commenter on Conservative Woman.
Yeah, they have a very big bee in their bonnet about vaccines, which would surprise you to know.
Oh wow, what a surprise!
And sex work. The sex work bit was the giveaway there as well.
Yeah. The rage against Rowling is actually rage against her for being a woman who has not politely faded into the background, but instead has inserted her voice and her boundaries.
This is commentariat.
This is what is especially infuriating about her, and it's why one of the favorite tactics from her attackers was to reply to her tweets with images of pornography.
Commentariat.
Commentariat. Fuck you.
Anybody want to take a stab at who this is?
Is it Brendan O'Neill?
It's the fucking turf mind virus. I don't know what host the spiders are in for this particular article, but it's them.
Sarah Ditton.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually a good
shout. Fucking set them up on knock them down, baby.
All right, let's see. 2 more to go. This is about some American company changing its hiring practices. Yesterday, the American-owned firm was trying to backpedal, saying it would still hire white males, but only after they'd been interviewed by a diverse panel, including at least one woman and one person of color. But let's be honest, chaps. Would you feel comfortable applying for jobs when you know the chips have been stacked against you in advance? Why bother? Is it 'cause I is white?
This is. I know this. I actually know this one.
It's commentariat.
Yeah,
it's commentariat.
Yeah, it's commentariat. That's. I think. Oh fuck! Who was? It was. Is that Finkelstein?
No, it's Richard Littlejohn.
Oh, Littlejohn. That fuck.
Yeah.
All right, last round, and then we're out of here. All right.
Yes, please.
These days. All right, that's it. We're done. These days, teachers have virtually no recourse when abuse takes place. Raise a hand to a kid and they'll be sacked before the bell sounds for break. Exclusions are frowned upon.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Exclusions.
Every time I fucking fight the children, they fucking sack me. It's incredible. And that's why I'm joining this Austin, Texas University.
Exclusions are frowned upon and schools get in trouble if they use that tool too often. Ring the parents at home? Too often the response will be that they don't give a toss, or they'll get another fusillade of abuse, this time from dad.
What?
Comment. The use of the word fusillade suggests to me comment.
I'm going to go commentariat.
Is it a BBC comment?
Alistair's batting 1,000 this time. It's Rod Liddle riding in the sun.
Easy
Fuck
peasy.
me. Rod Liddle dropped that one. Fuck me. Right, okay.
Firing on all cylinders tonight, baby.
Is this the same Rod Liddle that also said other things about teaching children?
Fucking.
Damn.
But the thing is, that's not libelous because he actually fucking said it.
He did, yes.
That is a Rod Liddle from God right there. Obliterated.
Okay, that will do us for now. If you are not on the Patreon, you should get on the Patreon, patreon.com/praxiscast. You can get an extra bonus episode every single month. We might increase that down the line. You'll also get early access to Black Thoughts, access to the Discord, and the ability to at me. And also, if you like our shit, then you might want to check out some of the guest appearances we've made recently. We have had Jamie and Rob on 10k posts.
Yep.
I think you did a two-parter.
A two-parter on the 1995 classic, The Net.
Yes, there you go. So two-parter. First part's free, second part's on their Patreon. And on the note of premium content of other podcasts, Trash Future has
yesterday
released the premium episode with me and Rob on to talk about Brewdog. So go and enjoy that.
Yeah, enjoy it as much as we enjoyed reading that fucking book.
Oh.
I have a plug as well. I'm going to be appearing on a Com Radio episode to talk about V for Vendetta. So if you want to hear an anarchist talking about the worst anarchist movie ever made, stay tuned. It will be coming out within the next few weeks.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that. All right, that is us for plugs. I also actually check out the Twitch stream.
Just as you were saying that, I remembered that me and Jamie are doing streams now. We're currently playing. We're currently playing Valheim, or will be playing Valheim
Mondays and Thursdays
if everything goes to plan. So join us as we beat up old guys and build portals in their gardens.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I was on for a while on Tuesday. It was fun.
Well, join us there.
Yeah, join us in the spreading content empire, listener.
Join us here, there, and everywhere.
Yes.
All right.
And we will see you for another episode next week.
All right.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.